companies are directed and managed. So I said that whenever corporate governance comes into the picture, you should be able to think of all the stakeholders and their expectation which should be met by corporate governance. It is conducted by the board of directors and the concerned committees for the company's stakeholders benefit. So I said that equally we should be able to meet the stakeholders expectation. And how do we come about a better, transparent and a good corporate governance? We involve the board of directors, we involve the committees. There is a governance committee in all the public sector companies and the private sector companies. So they come up with the better rules, regulation, that what is the best way to govern the company. It is about balancing individual societal goals as well as economic and social goals. So we are not only we are not only balancing the profit making of the organization, an ethical way of profit making for the organization, but we are also meeting individual goals. So individual goals could be the individual employees, the individual consumers. So we look at goals being met of the individual and also as a group. So as a group means we as a company exist in the society. So we will meet the societal goals, we will meet the social goals, and some of the goals like environment goal is not mentioned here. So economic, social, environment goals. So these are the goals that we want to manage. For example, we said that in case of Volkswagen company, the economic there was an economic impact due to one of the environment problems or environment related problem that the company had. So the automobile had a problem with the environment related loss, but ultimately the stock price of the company went down. So which means that these all goals of the company, whether they are economic, social or environment, are related. Only when we balance all these together, then we will be able to give a better corporate governance. So that was the first definition. Second one, if you see, corporate governance is the interaction between various participants. So they can be participants, they can be also called the stakeholders. So what is this kind of interaction? So it is the shareholders, board of directors and company management. So our shareholders are they could be internal in the internal organization. Our shareholders could be in the public, so they could be public shareholders. Then the board of directors, like I said, is always, we should decide that it should be a mixture of our internal company employees, internal company employees. It also has percentage of experts from the industry. It has a percentage of male and female directors. So these are some of the ideally how we should take a better board of directors so that we have better corporate governance. Since many of the governance laws, procedures are coming from the board of directors and committees, so we should ensure that our board of directors is having a good mix of people. So corporate governance is the interaction between various participants that include shareholders, board of directors and company's management in shaping the corporate performance and the way it is proceeding. So if you really want to grow in a business environment, whether it is a domestic or an international, and you really want to, for example, if you are, if you have not been ethical in the domestic environment itself, then you trying to expand your operations into the international environment will become difficult. So an ethical corporate governance will have to, an ethical company will have to start at the domestic level. It will have to look up to other private companies which are in the international scenario and how they are doing well, how they are being ethical, and then only we can progress. So one of the example that comes to my mind in which a company which could not manage well in the international scenario. So one of the Indian company was Ranbaxy. I'm sure you have heard about it. So Ranbaxy is a pharmaceutical related organization. It's a pharmaceutical industry. So they had a lot of issues relating to the drug laws and to the laws relating to the drugs in the way they were being made by Ranbaxy. So there was concern about the raw material, there was concern about the procedure which was being followed by, the procedure which was being followed by the company. So this is how Ranbaxy had, had to incur fines from the US government when they went international. So any corporate governance will have to start at a local level, at a domestic level, and then it can be taken on to the international environment in case we are looking for business expansion. Because each and every country will be regulated by the laws and governance laws in that country. So we'll have to be very, very careful. So the relationship between the owners and managers in an organization must be healthy, and there should be no conflict between the two. So these are the two things that, in many organizations, we keep the top management separately, and we consider the employees very, very differently. So such kind of gap will again bring governance issues, like you saw that in case of the Wells Fargo case, the employees had created the fake accounts, and the top management was not aware of it until and unless the scandal came into the open and into the public. So such things can be avoided if there is a very good interaction between the different levels of management. So if we are speaking about the definition of corporate governance, then why do we feel that, what is the need? Why are we so much concerned that there should be, there should be a committee for corporate governance? There should be some kind of attention that should be paid towards the corporate governance. So first is, of course, about the brand reputation, which means that we want to be known as an ethical organization. So what is this ethical organization, and why does it kind of attract attention? So ethical organization not only attracts the, a better shareholder, and people want to fund our company and so on, but also it attracts better employees. So when someone, for example, you want to apply for an organization, then you look around, and then you look around and you want to know that whether this organization that I'm going to work is it ethical, is it trustworthy, is it a credible organization? Because that is how an ethical organization, of course, attracts a very good funding from various sources of funding it attracts, but at the same time it also attracts good people. Like people want to work for Tatas and Godrej, and because the governance is good, because they take care of their shareholders and the employees and so on. So this is how corporate governance impacts the way it attracts employees and suppliers, and it attracts funding and government and so on. So if you can see this slide, the need for corporate governance. So first one is widespread of shareholders. You will, just like I said, that we want to invest in a company which is trustworthy and which is credible. Example, I want to invest in a company. I want to have the shares of, let's say, Tata and Godrej, or ITC for that matter. The reason I know that, they are companies who follow better procedures, and my share price, their growth trajectory is good. My share price will be intact, and it will just not dip because of the kind of frauds and scams that will happen. So that is how that we are able to expand and extend our shareholders. When you are a credible organization, you don't have to really go out and promote yourself. People know that this is a good company to invest in. It has a good growth trajectory. It has a good societal impact that they are doing. Say for example, ITC. So not only they do very well economically and their profit making and growth making, but if you see their annual reports, they will have extended sheets and extended pages on the environmental responsibility that they take, the responsibility that they take in the rural, through their e-Chopal and so on. So they have some very good initiatives. So you feel as a shareholder that you want to invest in such companies. So in those cases, again, corporate governance comes to the rescue, and that is how we say that yes, corporate governance is very, very, very important for a company, if you are a new company, if you're an existing company, because this is the kind of responsibility that you have. Then second one, there is a changing ownership structure. It may so happen that, you know, the percentage of the shareholding for the owners will change. For example, right now Amazon, the founder Jeff Bezos has come down from his position as CEO, and he has become he has taken up another position. So in those cases, what will happen? What should we do when the founder come CEO is going to transfer his shares, is going to reduce his involvement in the company? So how will the other people in the board of directors, how the other management people will be elevated to take better decisions for a company which has been showing a growth trajectory for the longer period of time? Then third one, I have shown example of scams and scandals that are happening due to the lack of corporate governance. So that's why again we need the corporate governance. And you are aware that after the Enron fiasco, so after that, how some of the laws in the US, US were changed to say that, you know, why this kind of a financial transparency is important for organization. So that is the corporate scam. So we need corporate governance. Fourth one, again, the societal expectation of people are people are changing. So more and more consumers expect that the products and services that they buy from, they are being made in a credible process and so on. So the expectation from the consumer is being increased, especially because today, because of social media and because of the digital platforms, you can voice out the expectations. You can voice out as a consumer what is your expectation. So these are something that the companies cannot ignore anymore: the consumer concerns, the societal concerns, the environmental concerns. So these are something that as a company we cannot agree. Fifth one, any hostile takeover can be avoided with the help of a good corporate governance. There is a huge increase in the top management compensation. So while the compensations are going up, they are expected to perform in terms of what are the procedures, practices being laid out by the company. Last one, globalization. I touched about this point that you want to go from being a domestic company to a global company. Let's say I'm Starbucks. So in that case, you should be known for your corporate governance standards, for your trustworthy standards, and then it becomes easy for you to grow as an international company.